Order in the podcast. Let's talk about order in the Bible. Welcome to Language of Life for Little Learners. This is your favorite Bible nerd, R.A. Sweeney. Today I want to talk about the word for order in the Bible, which just so happens to be the second Hebrew word in the whole Bible. Which may surprise you because we don't see it in English. But the second word in Hebrew in the Bible is the word bara. If you want to say it with me, to slow it down, it is bara. Pretty easy, speeding it up, bara. Say it one more time. Bara means order. In most of our translations, this word, especially here at the beginning of the Bible, gets translated as creating. And that's where we have to, when we think about vocabulary between languages, it's not like, a word means a word across languages. Words are used to describe an idea, and ideas need to be communicated across languages. So does the word bara mean created? In a way, but we need to think of what would a Hebrew person think about the word created. And in this sense, I don't think the word created is the best way to translate the idea that we mean here. There are a lot of words that could be used to describe created, and I think bara is not a great one for that exact word. And so when we think about God creating the heavens and the earth, we tend to think Genesis 1 is the story of there was nothing and then God made all these things out of nothing. They didn't exist before and now they exist now. I'm not saying God didn't create those things. He absolutely did. God created everything in the way that we think of creating. Nothing, now there's something. But that's not the story that Genesis 1 is specifically telling. Genesis 1 is saying there was darkness and then there's light and they get separated out and they get put in their different places. And the waters were spread out so there's room for air, and then they were spread out in a different way and there's dry land appearing, and it's making spaces to be inhabited. And then those spaces are filled with ecosystems of life, and it's all about order. And so when we look at the way the word bara gets used throughout the Bible, it's always establishing a system of order. Now, to go a little bit outside of the Bible, I think there's a Roman poet named Ovid. If you're not yet to reading Roman poetry, you want to check out Ovid. He is a phenomenal poet. Parents, I would caution you to read some of the stories before kids start looking into them, because some of them are a little bit more mature than others. But Ovid does a great job, but he starts out his book Metamorphoses by describing what was typically thought of in the ancient world by what existed before creation, and it's just everything all mashed together and homogenized. So think of if you're served your dinner. You've got your main food, you've got your vegetables, you've got your sides, your drink, maybe dessert, all those things. Now imagine just putting it in a bowl and just mixing it all up. And you start eating it and you're getting sweets and you're getting salties and butteries and like all the different flavors, and it's just kind of gross because they're all together. And some things were hot and some are cold, and you're getting within a single bite hot parts and cold parts. And it's just this disgusting blob of everything all together. And that's how the ancient people would have thought of things before they were created. So I am affirming God created that disordered blob, but then he started teasing out order in it. And that's what Genesis 1 is all about. That's what this word bara is all about. And so we see in the beginning, God took that disordered blob that he had made, and he starts separating it out into ordered spaces and filling those ordered spaces with ordered life. And it's all about structuring things so that God can create abundance and beauty and, thriving life, all those things. And so we see this word used 54 times in the Old Testament. It's a very common word. There are other words that get used to describe that idea of what God would have done to make that disordered blob to begin with. Words like asa and things like that fit that there was nothing, now there's something sort of creation. But this is taking that disorder and bringing order. It could also be assigning purpose, things like that. So we see in that Genesis 1 account that God creates sea monsters and water swimmers and birds of the air. And it says that he's giving them purpose. And it tells you what their purposes are. To swim around in the deep and to thrive and to do those things, to fly through the air and to occupy that space and to order it. And then we see when man is created, it says that God created humanity in his image. In the image of God, he created it, being humanity. Male and female, he created them. But the word created in there is bara, and it fits that idea of ordering because it goes on to say, and what he did was he set them in charge of this creation to rule over it. He said, rule it. Start shaping it into more order and more beauty and more life. So he creates them by giving them purpose. Before they were this undifferentiated thing, now they are this differentiated thing with purpose. And that's really what we see all throughout the Bible, what we see with this word bara. It is creating order, it's establishing order, it could be renewing order where things have gone off the rails because of sin and things like that, and God's trying to bring it back into an ordered Eden-like sort of state. But it's all about order and purpose. So that's how the Bible starts, as God giving that purpose. It's all over the place, and that's what the word bara means in the Bible. Thanks everyone for listening. We'll see you next time. Thanks.